Hey, it's me, Vicki Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So, in this video, I'm going to give you a little bit of an update. I haven't talked about this case for a while because, to be quite honest, there has not been any news. And this is the truly awful case of Travis Decker, this killer dad who is at the moment evading capture, though personally, and I believe from the beginning, I think he's probably deceased somewhere. And this seems to be the police's view now, though initially they thought that he was on the run because what this man did, he had his daughters for a few hours, of custody, and he did not turn back, did not take them back to their mum's house when he was supposed to. And this is Peyton, 9 years old, Evelyn, 8 years old, and little Olivia, only 5 years old. And he disappeared. They all disappeared. And very, very sadly, it turned out that this killer dad, I can't, I find it very difficult to find, to not be sort of hate him, really, to be honest. Travis Decker, he had asphyxiated these three girls for reasons that we're not sure of, maybe custody issues. He'd apparently asked to get back with the girl's mother, Whitney. She wasn't interested in getting back together. He had a lot of mental health issues. He's an ex-service person, and it's thought that he may have PTSD. But I mean, it takes a special sort of PTSD, doesn't it, to suffocate your three little daughters. And they were found, they had restraints put on their wrists, and they had plastic bags over their heads. So it's pretty nasty, horrible, just unbelievable that you could think that a father could do this, whether he had PTSD or not. Anyway, since then, he's been, I suppose you'd say, on the run, if you like. Though, as I say, I think probably from quite early on, maybe he was deceased. But it's just, where is he? Where is he? So the police are conducting a massive search for him. Let me just show you this article before we're going to watch an interview with the police chief that's in charge of this case. The Chelan County Sheriff, who gave an update just a couple of days ago. Anyway, first of all, let's just have a look at this article. So there he is. There he is, Travis Decker. Most certainly going to hell, I'm afraid, this guy. Why he did it, I just don't know. Just go off and delete yourself. Why take your daughters like that? I don't think that's PTSD. I'm sorry, I'm sick of all these excuses. Mental health, lots of people have got mental health issues. They do not do these kind of things. So Travis Caleb Decker, he was born on the 15th of August, 1992. Leo, 5'8", 190 pounds, black hair, brown eyes, last seen watching a tan or green t-shirt and dark shorts. So this was like a photo of him, the one with the long hair, and the police have sort of tried to show how he might have changed his appearance by, growing his moustache thicker or cutting his hair. Of course, he may be clean shaven now. He might have shaved it all off. So, over a month after murder suspect Travis Decker vanished, the local sheriff has a new theory about what might have happened to him. Because initially they were convinced he was alive. There was reported sighting of him, but I don't think that was him. Because he's a survivalist, apparently. He's experienced in survivalism, so it's thought that he could survive quite a long time in the wild. Anyway, he's been missing since he picked up his three daughters, Caitlin, 9, Evelyn, 8, and Olivia, 5, for a 3-hour visit. Oh my God. And you know what? poor Whitney, the mother, she had fought, with the court. She'd asked the courts, she'd expressed to them her worries about his mental state. And of course, once the court have decided a court order, you have to comply with it. So 3-hour visit on May the 30th in Wenatchee, Washington, in the USA. We're making sure to bring him in safe and care for him. Chelan County Sheriff Mike Morrison tells people about Decker, the subject of an extensive manhunt. So the search continues, and he's a 32-year-old US Army veteran. So he never returned the girls to their mother, and that set off this frantic search. But on June the 2nd, these little girls, these little angels, who've done nothing wrong to anybody, were murdered by their own father, asphyxiated near his abandoned pickup truck in the remote Rock Island campground, with the father nowhere to be found. So he's wanted on first-degree murder and kidnapping charges. Just don't know how he could do it. Reminds me of Chris Watts a bit. The whole thing, just disgusting. Bad enough when anyone does it, but their own father. So anyway, at the scene, investigators recovered blood on the tailgate of Travis's truck, which matched the DNA profile they believe is the father's. In the very early days, I was sort of hoping, like, sure, maybe somebody else had come along and killed all of them. You couldn't believe, that a father would do that to his own children, but that's not the case, because DNA has been found on the girls, on the plastic bags that were on the girls, etc. So it seems, it seems like there was nobody else involved. It was him who did it. So also found at the scene, they found his wallet, his cell phone, and Husky. His dog was found. The dog is okay, thank goodness. One thing, the dog's okay, for God's sake. And that's another thing. It's strange that the dog is there. I think he's round about there somewhere. Or maybe he went into the river or something, because why is the dog there? Why did the dog not follow him? If he set off. Sorry, I'm just taking some vitamin tablet. If he set off, because there was talk that it might be trying to go over the border to Canada, because he'd looked into living in Canada, etc. There's been all sorts of talk. But yeah, why was the dog still there? Why was the dog still there? Dogs normally follow you, don't they? So it makes me, I think he's roundabout there somewhere. Or maybe he went into the river there, because there's always they have searched, they've been searching, but it's massive terrain to search, and as we know, river searches are difficult. So he's got nothing with him, but of course, with him being a survivalist, it's thought, you may even have a bunker somewhere. That wouldn't be the first time that's happened. So there's a fingerprint of blood on the truck that originally they were calling it, or the media, the mainstream media were calling a handprint, but the police are now saying it was a fingerprint. And they think it came from an injury, though the severity of that injury remains unclear. So has he self-harmed, Has he done something to himself? But where's his body? So in regards to whether Decker is still alive, Morrison says, I would imagine most likely if he were to have died, it would have been from falling. An injury maybe got infected to the point where it did cause him, some further issues, or he drowned. And he adds, there's certainly a lot of possibilities. And if we do find him deceased, of course, we're going to do a full autopsy on him just to get confirmation on his death, his cause of death. So he was believed to have been spotted by another hiker on around June the 10th near Highway 97, but since then investigators have suspected he's no longer alive or in the area. He's been described by authorities as a former military man trained in survival skills. And they've also previously said they believed he may have fled on foot and attempted to cross into Canada because he allegedly searched how to relocate to Canada online. Anyway, search teams have used human remains detection dogs and also searched nearby mountain areas and bodies of water. We've heard some accusations we might be out looking to do harm to him, Sheriff Morrison tells the People. I'm like, yeah, that's not how we do law enforcement here in Washington state. We're making sure to bring him in safe and care for him. If he's injured, we'll make sure he gets medical attention. And if he's deceased, we'll investigate it and determine a cause of death. And during a June 26 appearance on News Nation's Banfield, Whitney's attorney, that's the mum, said the grieving mother hopes Travis is found dead or alive. That's a huge, huge thing that she wants, attorney Ariana Cozart said. It's very, very important to her so she can have peace. I mean, really, he could be coming for her, couldn't he? But the thing is, she's lost everything anyway. So does she even care? I'd sort of almost want him to be coming for me because I would make sure, anyway, I know you're supposed to, how can you forgive something like that? How is that mother going to cope? Her whole world, her 3 children, her 3 daughters, gone, cruelly murdered by this man. Maybe the police are saying, no, we're not trying to do harm to him. But I think if I was the mother, I would be hoping to do harm to him. I would be so angry. I can't even express it, how angry you would feel, whether, I'm just speechless to express it. So anyway, now we're going to just have a look at the interview that just the other day, a couple of days ago, the police chief did, and see what he had to say.
Great. And I know the drill. Feel free to look at me, not the camera. And first, can you please say and spell your first and last name?
Chelan County Sheriff Mike Morrison, Morrison, first will be Mike.
Thank you. How are you feeling about this case as we enter the second month of the search for Travis Decker?
Encouraged on the investigative side, frustrated on the search side, which I'm sure majority of the citizens here in Chelan County and statewide are as well, but we're still continuing to look for him and we won't give up.
What does the search look like?
Now, it's interesting, isn't it? They're saying we won't give up. Now, we know that when people go missing, not that are running, I suppose it's because it is a murder charge or 3 murder charges, that there always comes a time where they abandon the search. Look at Jack and Lily Sullivan. Police abandoned the search eventually. But he's saying they won't give up looking for this man. This massive area that they're searching, and he's undoubtedly there somewhere, deceased. I think I've thought that from the beginning, to be honest. But I'm surprised that he's not nearby. Or if, as I say, has he gone into water nearby?
Like now, have you honed in on a more specific area?
No, we're continuing to search certain parts of the West Beat, which would be the Leavenworth, Lake Wenatchee area as well, and just making sure that we're doing our due diligence to follow back up in areas we have checked, following up on leads. But over the next couple of days, before you're going to see the National Park Service is going to be putting their swiftwater rescue team into the Icicle, and we're going to check as far down as we can. The goal is to reach the Columbia River, but having been on the swiftwater rescue team myself in the past, I get that's a lofty goal, but we appreciate them being here. And then our swiftwater rescue team will also be going in here at the end of this month. So we're going to use as many resources as possible. We still have the U.S. Marshals on the ground that are following up on leads. And last week we had a search and rescue team that was going through the area of the crime scene. We had 25 members out there with U.S. Forest Service members of our agency doing a grid pattern.
Now, they know more about search and rescue than I do. I'm just operating on the sort of, what seems logical to me is that he wouldn't be far away from those girls. If he has done something to himself, I'm just surprised he wasn't there at the scene with them. But so anyway, they're concentrating on that. I hope they find him around there. I just hope they find him, because it just gives some resolution, doesn't it? You know, to just fight, instead of the thought of him roaming around the area, or even Canada or anywhere, roaming free, living his life, is just awful.
And search. And we've also deployed additional resources up into the encampments again with the mountaineering team, in addition to deploying cadaver dogs within the Ingalls Creek area.
Great. Just yesterday, we heard about new evidence potentially leaking Travis's DNA through a bloody handprint to the crime scene. Can you explain what that means?
Yeah, so we're trying to get ahead of the narrative. It wasn't a bloody handprint on the back of the truck. It was a fingerprint that, of course, did have blood on it. And we were able to collect samples of that thanks to Washington State Patrol's crime lab and our detectives. And we did get samples back that matched the DNA samples that we believe belonged to Travis Decker. And that's...
Yeah, so a bloody fingerprint. See, then you think, because of course the girls weren't killed in a way that there would be any blood. So this is Travis's blood by the sound of it. Why is there blood? You know, it's like he's done something to himself. But do you know what? It's only Travis knows, of course, what really happened. And the girls are not here anymore. Travis probably isn't here anymore. We'll probably never get to know exactly what. Maybe it's a blessing. Those poor girls must have been terrified, because he tied their hands behind their back. Why did he do that? What a horrible, horrible thing to do.
Did a positive match. No other evidence was found on scene to show that there was others besides Peyton, Evelyn, Olivia, and of course Travis. So we're going to continue to focus our investigative efforts and our search efforts on Travis.
Knowing what we know about his extensive training and the rest of his history as an Army Ranger, how does that impact the search effort?
Well, we feel pretty confident. We're coming in with a search and rescue team and the U.S. Marshal Service. It also has Special Forces members on their team, several of which passed the first time they went through. We like to point out that Travis did not post passing grades when he went through Ranger School, was not classified as Special Forces, but we do have Special Forces members, former, that are part of our team, part of our agency.
Yeah, so there was a lot of talk, you know, in the mainstream media from the beginning, saying about how he was, you know, Special Forces, survivalist, trained in survival. And the police have always tried to sort of play that down. So he's not so, you know, he's not some Rambo type that he's been made out to be. Although he was interested in survivalism and living outdoors, etc. It was just nothing special, you know, so he shouldn't be thought of that he could make his way to Canada on his own.
So we feel confident that we have the right resources, individuals that are more experienced than him that are out there searching, and we'll continue to put the pressure on him, whether we find him alive or dead. We recognize there's a possibility of both.
So I'll point the question to you. Do you think Travis Decker is still alive?
I still feel there's a possibility, but certainly we recognize there's a potential that he could also be deceased. That's a large area that we could search if we get in there and he did, like, let's say, fall off a cliff, succumb to injuries. Recognize that is a tall task for us to cover that much area, but we're going to continue to search. But we also recognize until he's accounted for, he's still unaccounted for, and we're going to look for him.
Could this potentially be a years-long search, months? Is there any way to put a time frame on it?
We're not sure. So it depends on how our searches go over the next couple of days, but certainly we recognize that in talking with the U.S. Marshals, reviewing other searches that were similar to ours, that there is a potential that it could go on for months, it could go on for years. I've talked about it before with the Eric Rudolph case.
My God, months or years. It's very handsome, this man, doesn't it? Reminds me of a young Richard Gere. You know, months or years. That poor mother, Whitney, poor Whitney, because she just wants him found now, so that she can at least know where he is. And, you know, God, she must be sort of locked in a room somewhere in case he's coming for her.
With the 96 Olympic bombing, that search went on for 5 years. We certainly do not want to see a 5-year search, but we get that we could be in for the long haul, and we're dedicated to making sure we see this thing through.
So with the Swiftwater rescue team, are they looking specifically for a body, or just looking up and down the waterway to see if they might see him along the trail, or what's the purpose of that?
Yeah, so looking for evidence, and of course, we're also looking for a body. We understand that we've had spring runoff over the last several months. The water is starting to subside. I was just out paddleboarding here a couple of days ago, and a couple of our rivers that were not navigable before are now more navigable. And so we can get our teams into the water. We feel more confident.
That's interesting that the rivers are becoming more navigable now. So, yeah. I mean, it took a long time to find brown laundry, didn't it? Because of water and flooding and things. You know, Yeah, but conditions change.
Confident that we're going to be able to search a better area that we hadn't been able to search before. And we still have drones also checking over the rivers. So we're going to continue to do what we can, but I think it's better to have bodies in the water searching for the potential of recovering a body.
Got it. You're obviously so connected to this community. Can you speak to how this tragedy has really impacted Wenatchee and the county?
Devastated. I mean, I've talked to members of our community out in public, and certainly they've voiced their frustration with the situation. Emotions have run high, but clearly, as we talked about before, we went on camera here, and I think it's brought us closer together. We were already close. We have a lot of support from our community, but you understand we're all suffering together. Our agency's provided resources, going out and providing classes in Leavenworth, Chelan, and Wenatchee here, just talking about different resources that are available for our community, ways to talk to their children about this tragedy, because a lot of the kids that we have in our community played sports with Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia, knew them personally. I think it's been very devastating for parents to not only deal with it.
You know, something like this in a small community like that, I mean, 3 children murdered by their father. I mean, it must be just have a devastating effect on the community as well as on Whitney, of course.
This, but also talk to their kids about it, and the sheriff's office wants to be alongside of them and more in line with our motto of the people for the people.
And this must weigh heavily on the sheriff's office. I mean, what does that strain look like, and how are you offering support for
our
officials?
deputies?
Yeah.
So we understand the weight of the case. We understand the stress that this puts not only on our detectives, but our deputies. Our detectives, of course, have been running 100 miles an hour since this case broke loose. They've been doing an excellent job doing follow-ups, processing evidence, working with our prosecutor's office to ensure the case is solid and ready to go to trial. And our deputies have also been out there still assisting, following up on leads, dealing with it 24/7.
Yeah, so, I mean, first of all, imagine the trauma for those police that found those girls, found those girls dead. I just, I bet they had to have counselling, because they were searching for the girls, hoping they would find them okay, of course, and they didn't. And they'll live with that forever, that sight of those girls. And then, the other thing that's going on while they're searching for Travis is getting the case ready for court, because as soon as they get Travis, if he's alive, he'll be arrested, he'll be charged, and then the next thing it'll be the court case. So they've got all these different things going on, because they can't presume that he's deceased. Even if eventually, they feel that he is deceased, they've still got to have all their ducks in a row, get the court case prepared.
Calls that come in, and what the community still expects is normal service. So, and we recognize it takes a toll. I mean, you're seeing it on a statewide level that officers who have been in law enforcement over 10 years are presumed to have PTSD. And that's a heavy weight. We recognize it as a profession. Over the last 2.5 years since I've been in office, we've invested over $4 million in behavioral health. So our behavioral health units expanded from 3 up to 6. We brought in resources for peer support, crisis intervention, stress management. Washington State Patrol provided their psychologist. We brought in a psychologist. We brought in peer support teams from King County, Bothell PD, and other agencies that volunteered. So we're making sure that we have resources on the ground to help our deputies through this. We recognize that some may be so caught up in the incident that they're not going to be able to really process this until it's passed. And we're going to make sure that those resources are available there. But I mean, we've gone.
Yeah, at the moment it'll all be about finding Travis, and the whole nature of PTSD is in the moment when things are happening. You're just functioning, aren't you, and getting through it. And then when Travis is finally found, and either he's deceased or he's brought to trial or whatever, the resolution starts. That's when things creep in, isn't it? Afterwards, you run on adrenaline when things are actually happening, don't you? And then it's after, even just in normal life, I'm sure and I know, when you've got a crisis going on in your life, you're just like on autopilot almost, just getting up every day and dealing with it. And then when the situation hopefully eventually is resolved, sometimes that's when you can feel worse, because you've not allowed yourself to think about it too much while it's actually happening. And then afterwards, it's like all hits you.
We've been providing gym memberships, built new gyms, provided access to mental health professionals, and making sure that we have VR equipment also to help process through these things. So overall deputy health and well-being is important. We don't want them to only be successful here while they're working. We want them to have that work-life balance, and we want them to be mentally and physically prepared when they do reach that point of retirement, that they can enjoy their life after, because they've provided so much, they've sacrificed so much, and we understand that we want them to be in the kind of condition where they can enjoy their life, not only at work, but after work.
Absolutely. How many of your deputies and detectives are on this case?
Every single detective has been doing follow-ups, assisting, putting in together. They're working daily with our U.S. Marshals Service, working with the Washington State Patrol's Crime Lab. I personally have placed several calls to Chief Batiste. I really appreciate the fact that he's picked up the phone even on weekends. And when I've asked for them to rush something through the Crime Lab, Chief Batiste has been more than willing to assist. Washington State Patrol has been a great partner in this. I really want to make sure that we're paying some respect to that. And our detectives, of course, have been pushing hard. And then our deputies are out there too. So we constantly have that 24/7, 365-day-a-year coverage. And they're answering calls, they're following up potential sightings, in addition to handling their regular workload. And that's quite a bit. And we appreciate that they've been able to take on that challenge.
Great. What would be justice in this case?
Finding him alive and putting him in front of our judges. So, I mean, our whole mission is to set up the meeting. We don't pass judgment. We just have collected the facts of the case, the evidence of the case. We've worked with our prosecutors to ensure that we have a solid case moving forward. Of course, we've been following the Moscow, Idaho case in regard to the 4 students who were slain over there, and what kind of challenges have come from that. And we recognize that we don't want to.
Now, bear in mind, he made this interview before Brian Koberger pled guilty. So I wonder what he thinks of that. So, you know, all that. Brian Koberger, what a lousy piece of shit he is, basically. So all that's got, those families have gone through since, you know, that incident, on top of losing their children. You know, everything that they've gone through, all the, you know, just awful. And then suddenly, oh yeah, I'm guilty. Yeah, I've just put these families through torture for 2 years or however long it was. But no, I'm guilty. Actually, I'm going to plead guilty. And all those crazies out there supporting him and thinking that he was innocent. Just you couldn't make it up, could you? So it's ironic, actually, him mentioning that case. They're trying to learn from that case, he says. But now Brian Koberger, because he doesn't care about anything or anyone. He should have pled guilty right from the beginning. I think probably what's happened in that case is he's realised it's too much evidence against him. He's going to get the death penalty. You don't want the death penalty because, like all twonks, like all sort of murderers, he's scared of dying, like his idol, Ted Bundy. You know, who apparently practically shit himself when it came to his execution. Probably, you know, no wonder he was probably worrying what he was going to see on the other side and the torture he was going to go through in the next world. And that's Brian Koberger, scared of dying because he's a coward. These people are only capable of taking other people's lives. When it comes to their lives, they're very precious about it, aren't they? So it's ironic in mentioning that. I wonder what he thinks about that.
To give defense counsel that kind of access to going through our case and finding weaknesses. So we want to make sure the case is solid, that of course we're doing our due diligence, being that voice for Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia, but also making sure that Travis is given a fair trial. I think it's important. He is a citizen of our county. We recognize that. He is someone's brother. He is someone's son. He was former someone's husband, and of course was formerly a father, and we recognize that all carries a great burden on him as well, and want to make sure he's treated with respect. We're not encouraging citizens to go out.
I mean, it's true what he's saying, but, you know, you just think, yeah, father, yeah, what a great father he was. But, yeah, he's right, of course. Everyone's entitled to a free trial, even absolute demons like these. And it's ironic he says that about the weaknesses in the case that the defence sort of, that happened with Richard Allen, of course, didn't it, as well, in the Delphi murders. You know, they really, defence lawyers are pieces of shit, in my opinion, as well. I know that's their job to defend their client, but you can defend your client in a, an honourable way, you know, without, like, Richard Allen's defence leaping on this stupid defence of it being part of that Odinism crap and stuff like that, and, you know, creating all those problems, and then the family have got to live with that. People say, no, he's innocent. It plainly was not innocent, plainly guilty, same as Brian Koberger. But, the defence leaps on these things, circulates them, and then people jump on the bandwagon, don't they? And he doesn't want that. God, what they're going to say, that Travis is innocent?
They're hunting him on their own or wanting to do harm from him. Let the justice system do what it's supposed to do and give him his opportunity to stand in court. If we can't find him alive, of course, we'd like to recover his remains if he's deceased, just to make sure we bring closure to Whitney and her family, make sure the community also gets that kind of closure, and that Travis's family also gets it as well. Again, we recognize that at this time, he is a suspect and he is someone that we're going after, but we're still going to treat him with respect.
Yeah, and I imagine there's obviously an emotional element when it comes to Whitney and the whole family too. Is there any message you have for the family or how the department's feeling about kind of just helping this case come to a close and get them that closure?
We've got this side of it, and we're here for you. We're going to continue to be that sounding board if you need anything. I know Wenatchee PD really gets the credit for staying in contact with Whitney and the family, making sure they're updated on how the case is going, making sure they're talking to them about anything they need. And we're going to continue to be the other element to that is out searching for Travis, bringing closure to them. But I've talked with Whitney's father a couple times. I want to make sure I'm in close contact with him, just letting him know we have not given up. We're continuing to search, and we won't feel this is closed until he's located.
Is there anything else you want to add that I missed that's important for people to know?
Just that we've appreciated the community's support and understanding. We all understand, and I think anyone would be, misunderstood if they don't think that we wanted closure within the first week. Clearly, we recognize the frustration that we're over a month now, but we haven't given up.
Yeah, nobody will want closure, possibly, except Whitney more than them, but they can only do what they can do, can't they? And they're trying their best. As I've said many times, I know the police get bad press a lot of the time, but it's not a nice job, is it?
We appreciate the community's support. We want them to continue to be vigilant, be aware that Travis is potentially still out there. He is still a danger.
Yeah.
And that if it weren't for the media also keeping this to the forefront, we really feel like this case would have gone to the back burner. And I know several are wondering, like, okay, well, we keep doing these press releases, we're updating, but there's no new information. We are gathering information more and more every day. We're not going to release every single bit of evidence that we do have, but we're still very much in this search. We haven't given up. We feel that Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia would not allow us to give up. We know the family's not going to allow us to give up, and that's why we're here. We've taken the oath. We want to make sure we uphold our oath, and that we'll continue to ensure justice is.
Yeah, they are doing quite a lot. They do regularly do press releases. I mean, this is funny, isn't it? Because it may come to a trial, so they've still got to be careful, because if it comes to a trial and Travis's defence lawyer picks up on anything that may mean that he doesn't get a fair trial, that means he could, even though it's blatantly obvious, that he's murdered his own daughters. He could get off. So awful, really, isn't it? Because they've got to think about the fair trial aspect of it. They don't want to give any information that will compromise the fair trial, because they don't want this man walking away from killing his 3 daughters. So it's very difficult.
Is there anything you want people to know about what a special place Wenatchee is and that sense of community?
Chelan County is an amazing county. You can see we have some of the lowest crime rates within the state. We have some of the best officers, and that's no disrespect to anyone else. I know my brothers and sisters wearing uniforms across the state are amazing people. It is a very noble profession. I know that they represent their communities well, but of course, Chelan County has a special place in my heart. My deputies have a special place in my heart, and we have stepped up to, of course, make sure that this remains the place that everyone moved here and continues to live here. It's peaceful, and it's still a quality of life that we come to expect, and we're going to make sure that is maintained. And we've made it very clear in the past, when you come here and you commit crimes within Chelan County, we have the resources to pursue you. We will hold you accountable, and that applies to Travis. Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia, it was a loss for the family, but it was also a loss for the community. It was a loss for the agency. It motivates us. It pushes us. I just had a painting that was delivered by an officer from Philadelphia Police Department of all 3 girls. It's in my office now.
Oh, poor little things. God. Well, hopefully they're sort of in a better place now, but the best place for them was, of course, living like they were entitled to live their lives. And their own father took that away from them. I mean, it just doesn't bear thinking about, does it? It's bad enough when strangers do terrible things to children, but the person who's supposed to love you, care for you the most, to protect you from harm, to harm you for selfish reasons, you know, if you know, whatever the reason was, like just because he couldn't have full custody of them, or maybe to put, sometimes people do it to punish the other partner. They take away the children to make them suffer. Men and women do that. Absolutely foul.
And it is going to be a reminder that this case is not closed, and it won't be closed until we find him. And again, I hope it's alive and that he can stand trial. But if it's deceased, I think I'm also going to be aiming for that, to ensure that we bring that kind of closure for the agency. And I should reiterate, I use the term I when I know it's our deputies and our other partners that are out there in the field. I have participated a little bit in the search, but don't get any credit for that, because those guys have been out there 24/7. Going through the bush and climbing up mountains, and I really appreciate everything they've done for us. So we're grateful for the community, and certainly we want the family to know we haven't given up. They're very much in our minds. We're going to continue to pursue justice.
Excellent. Those are all of our questions. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
So there you go. That was the last press conference. I hope the next press conference is to say that this twonk has been found. Where is he? Personally, I haven't felt that he was alive right from the beginning. But where is he? That's the thing. Where is he? You just feel like he wouldn't be that far away from those children. No, I'm surprised they didn't find him at the scene, because that's what these people normally do, isn't it? They don't normally go far from sort of the scene. You know, I mean, how could he? You just cannot imagine how he could do that, hurt those kids, you know, deliberately, one after the other. The thing is, he couldn't kill them all at once. So, you know, at some point those girls knew what was going to happen to them. And some of them did. Terrible, terrible. Just, you know, God, I can't wait till they find that man. Just can't wait till they find him. Anyway, so I'm sending out prayers, lighting a virtual candle for these three. And a prayer, of course, that he's just found, and some resolution is given to Whitney, the mum. She needs it. She needs a break. She deserves a break after everything she's had to go through. You know, imagine when you're sort of telling the courts, this man is a danger. He's got mental health issues. And the courts just went ahead and, you know, didn't listen to her. Terrible. Okay, I'll keep you updated on this case, so don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to press notifications if you want to hear when there's any updates. I'll see you really soon, as always, in the next video. And until then, may your God go with you. God bless these girls. Bye.